Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering suppliers and purchase orders. This webinar will cover setting up your suppliers, purchase order settings, setting up supplier catalogs, creating job purchase orders and warehouse purchase orders. We'll look at your purchase order list and then how to use purchase orders from the mobile app. So the very first thing that we will start with is setting up your suppliers. So let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. All right. When you first log into your system, it's going to bring you to the schedule page. And to set up your suppliers, the very first thing that you're going to want to do is go to Settings, Purchase Orders, Manage Suppliers. That's Settings, Purchase Orders, Manage Suppliers. Now, from here, this is where you will set up your supplier information. When you create a purchase order in your system, you will be able to select from the supplier list that you create here. You will click Add a new supplier and enter in the supplier information, and then you will save that. Now, I already have a supplier set up, so let's take a look at that as an example. So let's look at Anderson Supply. Let's say that I purchase parts and equipment for my jobs from Anderson Supply. You will want to set up the supplier name. That's just the name of who you're purchasing from. If you have any payment terms set up with them for Anderson Supply, they do a net 60. You do have different options here. And then supplier terms. If there's any terms that you need to remember, you can add those here. These will auto-populate at the bottom of each purchase order, so it's just some terms that you and the supplier will both be able to see on the PO. And an example of that, maybe you state that no purchases are valid without a purchase order number. Whatever it is, you can add that here. Then you will click Next. That will bring you to the different accounts that you purchase with. So with a supplier, you may only have one account with them, and that will have like one catalog that you're purchasing from. But maybe you have maybe you have two accounts. An example here would be I'm purchasing from Anderson Supply, and I have a job account, which is going to be a catalog with all of the things I purchase on the job. And then I have a warehouse account that has different catalog items that would be maybe things I'm purchasing for the office that I want to keep in like my warehouse. So we have things on hand and in stock at the office. Next is location. So this is going to be the location of your supplier. And then this will, like if you're going to pick up, you have the option to do delivery or pickup for purchasing items. If you're doing pickup, this will be the address that your technician will see so they can go out and pick up the parts that they need. And then contacts. This is going to be the point of contact at that supplier. Maybe they have like someone working at the parts counter that you are communicating with. And this is actually who this purchase order will be sent to. So I create a purchase order in my system. I add parts from my catalog that I want to purchase, and then I need to send it to someone so they can fulfill the order. This is the contact info for that person. And if they have multiple departments, you can always just click new and add a new contact. You can even say who the contact type is when adding that contact. And when you're done, you will click save. And now you have a supplier available and you can add all of your suppliers. So that way, when I create a purchase order, the first thing it'll ask is who are we buying stuff from? And you'll select from this list. All right. Now, before we go in and set up our catalogs, which would be like the items we're actually purchasing, we should set up the purchase order settings. To do this, you will go to Settings, Purchase Orders, Purchase Order Settings. And this is something you would need to do in your system and go and just make sure that this information is set up here. So purchase order settings, the first thing is delivery locations. So the delivery location is if I choose delivery, like I make a purchase order, I choose delivery. This is the address that I want my items delivered to. So you may only have one location and that's like your office, and that is where things are being sent to. And maybe you have multiple locations you would like those sent to. But to add a location, you will click the plus button here, put in your information, and you do have the option to make this location a warehouse purchase order default or a job purchase order default. Delivery contacts. This is going to be the contact who will receive the delivery. So if something's being delivered, the supplier may want to communicate with someone on your team, and that's who you would add here. Delivery methods, this is going to be just the delivery method for shipping. So maybe you have ground shipping as your default. Maybe you have 2-day shipping as your default. But you can set up different delivery methods here by clicking the plus button. Type in the method, and then you can make this default for warehouse purchase orders and or job purchase orders. And, if I select 2-day shipping and I submit that purchase order, now the supplier knows that this is your recommended delivery method. And then delivery date defaults. This is going to be the standard of when the delivery would happen. So maybe for warehouse purchase orders, you want to set a delivery date out for 2 days, given 2 days to send, but for jobs, you need that stuff quicker, and you would set that to 1 day. Once you have these settings set here, then this is good to go. And when you create your purchase orders, it will allow you to select locations, contacts, methods from the list you have set up here on this admin page. All right. Next, we need to set up our supplier catalogs. And so this would be the actual items that you are selecting to purchase from. And so to do this, let's go to More Applications, Parts Catalog. From here, the parts catalog, you will want to select your supplier. That's why it's important to create your supplier first. And so the question is, which of these suppliers do I want to create items for that I know I will purchase in the future? So let's use Anderson Supply. And let's say, so the thing about the different accounts for Anderson Supply, we have a job account and we have a warehouse account. And so we created that when we created the supplier account. And now we're choosing which of these we want to create a catalog for, which you would do this if there's a job account and a warehouse account. So there's two accounts. You would need to build two separate catalogs because they may have different items. So let's do the job account and then select the supplier location. Let's say it's the Eastway store. And there we go. Now, when you first do this, there will not be any items here. This is my test account. I've already added some parts to this, but you will not have any items to begin. And what this is the catalog that you will be purchasing from. So when I create a purchase order, I know I need part number one. That's what I need for this job. You would need to make sure that that part number one is in your catalog so you can select it on the purchase order. And you would set these up here. Something that's very important to know is if you don't have any items in a catalog, it will not show up. It will not be available uh, to choose items because there's no items in there. So you have to add at least one item to a catalog for it to then be available on your purchase orders. To create an item, you will click the red plus button here. And now you're just entering any information that you want for this item. So enter in the part name, supplier number, manufacturer number. You don't have to fill out everything here. The part name is the only thing that's actually required, but you can get very detailed of what this item is. You can even upload a photo, maybe that you're pulling from the supplier website, but you will customize this. If you know this is an item that you are purchasing for jobs all the time, or maybe it's something you like to keep in stock in your warehouse, I would mark it as a favorite with the heart here. And then when you're creating your purchase orders, you can look at your favorites from each catalog. Once you have the information set, you will click Save at the bottom, and that will then add the item to your catalog. And so this is a manual process. There's a couple different ways that you can get this set up. So the first one is just you manually building this. Maybe you'll reach out to your supplier and say, hey, can you send me all the items that I have purchased over the last 6 months from you? So they send you that list. It includes names, model numbers, pricing, and then you would look at that list and you would manually enter each item into your catalog here. So that is one way to do it. That's building it from scratch. That's doing it manually. Now, if you have an Excel file, let's say that you already have an Excel file that has all of your parts and equipment that you already purchase, you can submit that for our data team to load. And then that would be able to save you some time on manual entry. Uh, to do that, you would go to More Applications, Data Center. And then right here, submit a supplier catalog upload. Click on that. We can load items to your supplier catalog to prevent manual entry. So it can save you a ton of time. Your supplier catalog items are the parts that you purchase for jobs and can be used to create purchase orders or manually create price book items. And so this says load a supplier catalog. This is items I buy. And then they do give you an option to load a price book file, which would be the items that you sell. So I would want to load a supplier catalog. And now this is getting into, I have my own file. I need a template, or you can get help from customer care. Upload my own file. That would be you already have a Excel file. It does need to be in Excel format. Uh, and if you don't have that file, maybe you request a template, which we will send you an Excel file that has all of the columns for all the info that we need, and you could fill that out and submit that. So that is one way that you can get that built. But either way, whether you are building this manually or you are loading a supplier catalog, these are the items that you will be able to select when creating the purchase order. All right. And you would follow this same process for all accounts you have with that supplier. And so that's up to you. And you would just click into the other account, select the location, and do the same process for each account. All right. So next, let's talk about creating job purchase orders. And so, my technician called and needs to go to the supplier to pick up a part for the job that he's currently working on. Let's go to the schedule page and let's look at this appointment. And then we will go into the job. And so I've got Bruce, my technician. He's out there and we need to create a purchase order. We're on a job. And so, sorry, I may have gone a little fast. Just to reiterate, when you create appointments, so this right here, we're looking at an appointment. Any appointments that you create will automatically create a job, and that job will have everything relating to that job. So if you're making proposals, invoices, notes, purchase orders, they will all be saved in that job. And when I see an appointment, I can just hover over the appointment and click on the job number to go into that job folder. I like to think of these as job folders, kind of like a digital file folder that all of our documents are saved into. Each job has a purchase orders section. And so remember, before creating the purchase order, we have already set up our suppliers and we've already set up our supplier catalogs. So we have something to choose from to order. So now we will create, well, you have two options here. So you can create a new purchase order from scratch. That means I will be pulling items from my catalog to create a new purchase order. But let's say that this is a job that I've ordered this same exact part 100 times and I, can just copy a previous purchase order. When you click copy, it will show you all of your purchase orders in your system. But first it will show you favorites. So we were talking about that earlier. When you're creating your items, you can favorite them. But when you're creating your purchase orders, you can also favorite the purchase order document. And that makes it easy. Maybe you have a monthly filter order that you're purchasing each month. And so from here, you would select the purchase order that you want to copy. It will copy all of the information over, but replace it with the new job information. So that is the copy feature, but let's build a purchase order from scratch today. To do this, we will click New. And now it's asking, do we want, well, so we are ordering this from the job page. So it's automatically selecting that this is a job purchase order. We're going to go over how to do warehouse purchase orders, which would be not related to a job. It's just things that you are ordering from your suppliers to have on hand. But this is a job purchase order because we need these parts for this job. First thing you'll do is select a supplier. Let's select our Anderson supplier. And then which account do we want to order from? So we want to view and pull from the job account because those have items that we know we purchase for our jobs. Let's click next. Do you want to go pick it up or have it delivered? Let's say that Bruce will go pick it up when it's ready. And so he will go to the Eastway store, which is, maybe just down the road, and then click next. So now it has created a purchase order document. Uh, for those of you who are new to the system, the way our documents work is when a job is created, it creates a job number. And then invoices, proposals, purchase orders, those job forms will be, I for invoice dash the job number. P for proposal dash the job number. And now our purchase order is PO, the job number, and then dash one. This is the first instance of this. If you make multiple purchase orders, it'll be dash two, dash three, dash four. This is where you can mark this as a favorite if you know this is a thing you're going to purchase often or again in the future. And then you would, if you're doing pickup, you need to select a desired pickup date. And so maybe we will go out there on Wednesday of next week. You can name your purchase orders if you want to. Let's say that this is something you know you're going to copy. You would just name it something that is easy for you to recall in the future. That way, when I hit copy and it pulls up, I can see, oh, this is my filter replacement purchase order, and you can copy. So favoriting and naming is great if you're going to use the copy feature. But we need to purchase some parts for this job today. To do that, you will click Add Item from Catalog. We're purchasing from Anderson Supply from our jobs account. And then now you're just seeing the items that we added in the supplier catalog. Keep in mind, if there's no items in your catalog, it will not show up here in this list. So you do need to add at least one item for it to show up here. And now let's say for this job, I need this part and this part. As you start clicking the boxes to add them, they will add into your queue over here. You can review and then add to the purchase order. So now we have our items here. Your items will be built out with names, descriptions, pictures, pricing, whatever you set up in that supplier catalog, that is what will show here. And now we can add notes. This is visible to the supplier. Our supplier terms are already pre-populated. You can sign it. And now this is ready to go. And so I will hit save and email. And now we're choosing who we're going to send this to. So let's say we have someone working the parts counter. We will hit submit. And again, this contact would have been added when you were setting up your supplier. So now that purchase order is an official document that has been sent to the supplier so they can fulfill the order. And we have a document here under the purchase orders section And if you want to view that, you have a little PDF icon here. If you click on the PDF, you can see a PDF of the purchase order. And this is what your supplier will receive. So this is the document they'll use to know what to supply you and, what to charge you. And then if you need to, you can resend this with the little message icon here. Just submit it again. And if you hover, it will show you the last time you sent it to the supplier. All right. And so let me check my notes really quick before we move on. Oh, yes. So um, let's go back into the purchase order. If you notice, this purchase order is not editable anymore. I can't click into it. That's because it's been submitted. If you need to update or make changes to a PO, you can put it in open draft. Just realize if you do this, if you make any adjustments or changes to the PO in your system here, that will not automatically update what you sent to the supplier. So I would make sure you get everything that you need first before you send it to them. But if you absolutely do need to update something, you can just update it, resend it, and maybe in the notes you say, hey, sorry, let's use this one. The other one, we actually don't need part number 3, whatever it is. But I want to show you how to add custom line items and then we'll move forward. So, yes, we recommend setting up your supplier catalog first. That way, your items are already in and you can just select them. They already have all the details and information. It's a huge time saver. But in the moment, you may just want to add a custom item that's not in your catalog. And you can do this by clicking Add Custom Line Item. And this is going to allow you just to create a custom item from here. Let's say we need a filter, and that is going to be $25. And then here you have an option. So this is actually nice. Technically, here's just a scenario. I'm really busy. I work out in the field, I help in the office. Maybe I'm a smaller team. And to think I'm going to have to add hundreds of items before I can get started, that's a little daunting. But you don't have to do that. You can just create your supplier catalog as you go. And so this would be an example of that. Even if I am creating this, I can just add this custom item to my supplier catalog. And so now when I hit add, I just created what I needed in the moment. I put the pricing, and now when I complete this, it will add this item to the supplier catalog. So that's one way you can do it as well. You don't absolutely have to build every single thing in your supplier catalog. You can just make them and add them from your purchase orders as you run your jobs. All right. So that is creating a job purchase order. That is from the job page, creating it for this job. And what I showed here was how to do it from the desktop version of WEX FSM. You can also make purchase orders from the field. So if you like your field technicians to do the actual ordering, they can do that too. And we'll go over the mobile app at the end. Next, let's look at creating a warehouse purchase order. And so warehouse ordering means it's not related to a job, right? It's not like I need this piece for this equipment for this job. This is more, I need to order stuff so I can have it in the office here on hand. And the way you would do that, since it's not related to a job, is you would go to your purchase order list. To do this, we will go to Jobs, purchase order list. Now, this has a couple other functions. The purchase order list is great just for seeing all of your purchase orders. Every time you create a purchase order in your system, it adds to this list. And you can now at a glance see all your purchase orders you've made in your system. You can see the status of them, the amounts, the job types, a link out. So this will show job purchase orders. If it is connected to a job, it will say it's a job purchase order and it will have the job number linked out. So I could go into that job and look at it if I need to. If it's a warehouse purchase order, it's not connected to a job, and you would do your warehouse purchase ordering from the job list right here. So you can create a new purchase order or copy, just like we showed on the job page. And for this example, let's go ahead and do new purchase order. Since we're doing it from the job, or sorry, from the purchase order list, our system knows we are creating a warehouse purchase order. Now from here, you can create a job purchase order if you want, if you already know which job to connect this to, but usually you're ordering those from the job page because it's already connected. And that's also where you're making your proposals and your invoices and everything for the job. Now, creating a warehouse PO, it's the same process. We're going to select our supplier. If I've set up, maybe this is where this comes in handy. So if you just have one catalog with a million items in it, it may be better to organize those into different accounts. So the job account may have way more stuff, but the warehouse account is just the stuff I know I'm ordering to the warehouse. So now we have that set. We'll hit next. Let's select a location. And then same thing. So you can either do it for pickup or for delivery. And then same process here. You can add items from the catalog or add custom line items. The same rules will apply. For this one, let's say that we are going to order our part number 2 here, review. And there we go. Uh, add notes. The terms are here. Sign it. And save an email. Select who this needs to go to. You know, if there's a different person that has the warehouse parts, you can select that, but this is who will receive the purchase order and fulfill the order for you. And submit. And now we can see this here. So we can see this is our warehouse purchase order. And the job purchase orders have a home. They have a specific place that's connected to the job. Warehouse purchase orders will live here. So if you want a place to go to just look at all your warehouse purchase orders, I would recommend going to the purchase order list. And again, that's jobs, purchase order list. If you want to search by PO type, let's say you just want to look at your warehouse purchase orders, you can select warehouse and it'll show that, or jobs. But it will always start on all as a default. Maybe you want to look at statuses as well. So you can choose by status. And you can also just search by entering in the PO number. All right. Checking my notes one more time before we move forward. Yep. Excellent. All right. And the last thing that we will look at, oh, give me just a second here. Okay, good. Oh, we do have a couple more sections. So the next part we're going to look at is the mobile app. So how to create a purchase order from the mobile app. Let's get this into a better view for you. And there we go. I'm just going to add an appointment really quick so we have something to work off of. And say, okay. So in this scenario, this would be, let's say I'm a technician. I'm looking at my mobile app. I'm sitting in the truck and I go, oh, I have an appointment right here that I need to go do. So I will select the appointment. And then, I realize I need to order a part. And so I will go down to purchase orders. And when you click new, this is where it will give you the option to either create a new purchase order for this job, and the copy feature is available here as well. Let's do new job PO. Let's say this time we'll get it delivered. Select your supplier. All the info is already here, so we're good to go. We will hit create. And now that creates the purchase order. We're in the build mode. And then we just add our items. So add items, select from your items in your catalog. Let's say that we need, part number 1, part number 2. That will add to the queue down below so we can see how much our total is so far. If you click on this little arrow, I know it's kind of hard to see, but right above this red button where it says add, there's an arrow. If you tap on that, it will show you what the items are. And if you tap on the item itself, oh, wait, maybe that's done on the other one. So this will show you the list here. Once you add them, yeah, okay. Once you add them to the actual purchase order, you are able to click on the item and make edits to it if you need to. All right. And so now same as before, you can add notes for your supplier to see. Sign it. You can actually just sign it with your finger and hit complete. And now this is ready to go. We have our items we know we want to purchase. We'll hit send purchase order to our parts counter. And there you go. And so now this purchase order is saved in the job. So if I'm in the office, I can go to this job and look at this purchase order that was created out in the field. So there you go. Very simple, very easy process as long as you have things set up. So that's one of the biggest things to get the ball rolling is just making sure you get your suppliers set up, your catalog set up so you have items to pull, and then the process of actually making and sending POs is very easy. All right. Next, and this will be the last topic that we talk about, is you can pull in items from your supplier catalog to create price book items. And that is also very important to know and to understand is that in your system, you have the supplier catalog. Let's go there now. And so I'm just going to more applications, parts catalogs, or part catalogs, selecting my supplier and my location. So this is a supplier catalog. These are items that you need to order from the supplier. that will be sent to you that you can use on the jobs. But when you're creating your invoices, that's not pulling from the supplier catalog, that's pulling from your price book, which is separate. So in your system, if you go to more applications, price book, my price book, this is where your price book items live. And those are different. Those are separate. These are items that we're charging our customers, which, usually is different. Like we're not necessarily wanting them to see the part name and the model number and the price of how much we're paying for these items. We want them to see what they need to pay. So that's what the price book is here. However, those do relate. So if I sell a product to a customer, maybe it is a one-to-one comparison, and maybe I do want that in my price book as well. So you can use supplier items from your supplier catalog as a template to build out price book items. To do this, you will click Add Product, select the product type. Let's say we need a part, so single part only. And then right here, it says search for existing part. And let's just search for, part 4. And here we go. So it's going to pull from your supplier catalogs. And we can see part number 4 is right here. And if you look at the source, we can see we're pulling this from our Anderson Supply 1004 account. If you select that item, it now has all the information from that supplier catalog item pulled in, and then you can make edits as needed from here. You will need to tell the system where you want this price book item to be saved. So let's say that we'll save this in our general parts a folder in the price book. And then if you're syncing to QuickBooks, you will need to say where you want the income for this item to sync to in QuickBooks. So we'll do our income job account. But that is a way that you can save yourself some time if you know you're going to be manually entering in a price book item in your price book catalog by pulling it from the supplier catalog. All right, and when you're done, you just hit save. And now we've created a new price book item, which is available when doing proposals and invoices, which we would then show to our customer. All right, so that's all the information we have for today's presentation. I hope that you learned something. Now we're going to move to our Q&A. So any questions you have, you can put those in the chat, or you can unmute and just talk with me. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Suppliers and Purchase Orders.